Thank you, Dokes. Welcome. I have Norm Robinson with me today. Norm and I have been friends and business associates for a long time. Norm is the CEO and partner of Sentinel Financial Group based in Perth. Welcome to you, Norm.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Kevin. It's nice to chat.
As I say, I've mentioned that I've known Norm for many years, and Sentinel and Salus Financial Planning have worked well together in our relationship and for the benefit of our mutual clients. It's been fantastic. In the past, what we've done is we've used managed funds and traditional fund managers. Also, obviously, with our own portfolios with direct shares and ETFs. The landscape is changing, and I've known Norm for a number of years, and he's been telling me what he's been doing. And I'm a bit of a slow learner, Norm, but I've finally listened to what you've been saying over the past few years. We've been, encouraged by the efforts you put in to help us with managing our client portfolios. And I know, as we've discussed many times, you're at the cutting edge of technology, and it's certainly showing in what you're doing at Sentinel. So, Norm, I know you've been a fund manager for many years, and your humble beginnings was as a stockbroker so many years ago we won't mention. So perhaps, Norm, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a bit about yourself, a bit about Sentinel and your service offering, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so my name's Norm, and that's right. I'm an investment manager. So all we do is look after people's investments. We did evolve out of being stockbrokers. So when we talk about looking after people's investments, we're only doing that via the stock market, but it's not in the same traditional sense that you probably expect from a stockbroker, where it's just buying and selling Australian shares and that kind of stuff. What we do is work more around spreading the money. We have 3 rules that we live by. That is liquidity. So as we say, you've got to be able to get in and out of your investments quickly, and you need to know what they're worth all the time. That's why we only invest through the stock market. The second thing we focus on is quality. So we're always targeting the bigger companies. And the logic there is simply that those bigger companies can ride through adverse events as they come and go. And then the third thing we focus on is diversification. So spreading your investments across not just Australian shares and Australian companies, but also international shares, international property, infrastructure, fixed interest, cash, alternatives, commodities, you name it, everything. And that's why we work very well with Kevin, his business, because he's taking a broad spectrum look at everybody. And then when it comes to just their specific investment needs, well, then we're there as that specialist at a helping hand.
That's right. Thanks, Norm. So your portfolios as such, how is that sort of different, I guess, that you changed the way many years ago now, the traditional way of thinking. And as I say, with the Salus portfolios over the years, we, for our existing clients, we have got, direct shares and some ETFs. But what's your way of thinking of managing portfolios now?
Yep. No. So the first thing is that we want to promote transparency and understanding, and that is one, so that people, if they understand what they're invested in, then they feel more comfortable with those investments and can appreciate the ups and downs. The second thing is, if they understand what they're investing in, they can have more of a say in it, so more influence and provide guidance. And so it becomes a two-way guidance. It's not just us saying this is how you should do it. It's about, well, we'll have a conversation and explain the reasons, how and why. We've got everything going through the stock market, so you're getting all the inherent advantages of the stock market. So liquidity I spoke of before, but also just the, I guess, the safety and security of knowing that it's the central, heavily regulated body that operates for investments. And then the third thing is we're using a lot of these somewhat more modern investments called exchange traded funds. An exchange traded fund is a fancy word, but a pretty simple thing. All it is just a prepackaged bundle of investments or prepackaged bundle of shares. And so rather than you going out and choosing the top 10 shares in Australia, you can just buy a single package that contains those holdings. So it allows you a lot of convenience. It also saves you having to pick and choose the holdings. And then the most important thing is that it gets rid of the number one problem of investment, which is that you end up with a legacy poor performing stock. So typically, if you own 10 stocks, 9 will go absolutely great, but 1 will go bad, and the one that goes bad wrecks the returns of your other holdings. And so that is a universal property problem that all investors come across, and the exchange traded funds fix that because they are forever exiting the bad and bringing in the next good ones. So just more modern in the way we do things, and more transparent.
Thanks, Norman. That sort of reminds me that your portfolios are actually tailored as we send our request off to you with our various clients' needs, risk profile or whatever they're looking for, or some clients like to be invested in certain things, some don't like to be invested in certain things.
Yep.
And your portfolios are actually tailored. They're not just sort of everything in the same portfolios as such. And we've even had clients who have modern day sort of thinking, requested ethical funds, and you put together a portfolio of ethical funds for our clients. So you're very accommodating as to whatever the client really feels most comfortable with. As I say, within their risk profile, we've been very impressed with the portfolios you put together for us and how you manage those. And some of the things I've mentioned sort of, in the past, I really like the efficiency of your system. I like the fact that, Rosa and I are very, very happy with the service we get from you and your staff. Very, very efficient, very polite, very, very quick. The reporting is outstanding. Clients can actually see their portfolios on any device these days. I like the fact that you're Perth-based, so we can contact you. Obviously, the same time zone helps. But if I want to speak to the CEO of another major company, I can't. But you're the CEO of your firm, and we can speak to you very easily, and I appreciate that. And of course, if I want to come and visit you in the city, your door's always open, which I appreciate.
No, thanks.
So I like those sort of things about your services, Norm, and I also like the online access and also the fact that people don't realise sometimes the back end of things with reporting to their accountants for tax and all those sort of things. Your systems, you're so up to date and cutting edge of your technology that a lot of your systems are directly compatible with accounting software, which of course ultimately will save clients money on their tax on the other side of it, with accountants taking less time to do the taxing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And look, it's a reflection of the fact that we're privately owned and operated. So, Sentinel was founded 18 years ago by myself and my brother, and we've grown, but we've never lost our kind of family style feel. That being said, we're not little. We're looking after about $1 billion worth of people's monies, and so there's a lot of responsibility there, and there's a lot of work involved in that. And the way we manage that is by having a lot of investment in technology. And we're very much embracive of change. So where something isn't working smoothly or it's just not as efficient as it could be, well, then we don't just sit there and cop that. We build some sort of better system ourselves. And I'm glad to hear that you and your clients are feeling some benefit from that. So thank you.
It's a real pleasure, Norm. No problems at all. And one of the main things from my perspective, I guess, and I've tried doing this myself over many years also with my portfolio management in the past with my clients, is monitoring the economy, monitoring what's going on. There's so much to think about, so much to be mindful. You get so much media influence come through, saying the sky's falling in and the world's coming to an end. And what I like about you, Norm, is that you're Mr. Cool. You always have a very sort of measured thought process on what you feel is happening, and your report to our firm as to what your thoughts are and how things are going. And you'll actually take action with the portfolio. So if you are concerned about let's call it a GFC-like sort of happening. What I like is that you do go more defensive. You tend to go a bit more back into cash, and conversely the other way around too. But I like the fact that you're a bit more hands-on.
No, thank you. Well, again, that's just about being practical. So we don't like textbooks. Textbooks are have got a problem at the moment, and that is most of them were written 100 years ago for an environment that doesn't exist today. And so we don't just stand by that ceremony. We think outside the square and just work out what's going on. I think everybody would agree that the world is a very different place, but even just in the last few years compared to what it was 10 or 15 years ago. And so you just need to be pragmatic and practical, and just question everything. We find that that's the key to it. In financial markets, there's a line that the government's usually pushing out, and there's also a line that the big banks are pushing out. But we want to look past that and go, well, what are their motives? Are they telling the truth? Because at the end of the day, we're here to protect our clients' money so that they'll stay invested with us for their lifetimes. That's our mindset.
Yeah, really appreciate your professionalism, Norm. Final question I've got today for you is really just around, and probably one you can't answer directly, I guess, but in the past, the old school of managing funds through a fund manager, the cost of maintaining a portfolio along those lines was around about the 2%. Have you got some sort of, I guess, with all the portfolios you manage, would you be able to give some sort of average as to what, say, like a balanced portfolio through your firm would be somebody?
Yeah. So you often do find those managed funds for that 1.5 to 2.5% range even now. So the ETFs are vastly cheaper. So a typical portfolio would fit somewhere between 0.2% to 0.4%. So a third to 1/5 the cost in most cases of a managed fund. A lot of that is because just modern technology, the modern systems and mechanisms side of an exchange traded fund, as opposed to an old school managed fund, which is teams of just old world people and costs and layers and all those sorts of things. So it's about simplifying and cutting off layers, and you actually end up with better performance, and that's a statistically proven better performance over a very long period of time, and you pay less costs. So it's really a no-brainer, to be honest.
Yeah, look, I'd support that from some of the results that are coming through from the portfolios. In comparison, it's a very, because your system's really, frankly, a very efficient way and cost-effective way of managing money. So, all right, Norm, look, I appreciate, I know you're a busy man, so I really appreciate your time today. And I'm just on closing, I'd like to say that you're one of the most honest men I've ever worked with, and I really appreciate
Thank you.
I appreciate working with you. And what I do like about you, Norm, is the fact that whatever you promise, you always deliver, and you actually care. So I really appreciate you and your firm. Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks very much, Kev. That's very nice of you to say, and that's why we set up this business, to make a difference. So thank you, and likewise, it's a pleasure working with you too. So thank you.
It's nice working with you, Norm. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.